Hey, how are we? I'm just getting all mosquito sprayed up before I start talking to you. Oh, they've been evil. I've got 2 on my leg already. I bet you're sick of me just moaning about mosquitoes every time I log into a live. I love being outdoors though at night and like doing my work out here and my lives out here and stuff, and they're ruining my life, people. They are ruining my life. First world problems, I know. Lovely to see you. Let me know when you're here and you're logged in. And hey Kerry, good evening. How are you, lovely? Who else is with us tonight? Say hey. Hey Lynn. Who else? I've got some notes. Other things I want to share with you. Hey Sue, how are you? Good evening. So, hey Jackie. Worrying is our topic for conversation today. How to stop worrying about what people, hey Louise, about what people think of you. And actually, I guess how to stop worrying, period. Because that's as much of what tonight is about as it is about worrying about what people think of you. But I really wanted to share this tonight because it just seems like such an important topic, hey Alex, in the world at the moment. It's always an important topic. Tonight's quite deep, and I'm telling you that right away, not because I'm apologising for it, because I think actually my work and my message has been shifted over the last probably couple of years into much more of a spiritual one. Soul-centered Millionaire TV. You know, it's no secret that I credit an awful amount of my success, not just to business strategy, but to soul alignment. And tonight is about that. And I'm not going to apologise for that, because I've found myself doing that a lot recently. I found myself saying, sorry if this doesn't resonate, sorry if this is too woo-woo for you. I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm not going to apologise, because it's important. It's an important message, and I know that those of you that need to hear this tonight will hear it, and those of you that don't will leave it, and that's okay. I've chosen the topic of judgment and worry this evening because many of you, so many of you have, thank you Davina, what a lovely thing to say. Many of you have reached out to me over the last few days, maybe even the last week or so actually, in different ways, prompted by, which I'm not going to go into here tonight because it's not the time and place, but I did a live video on my profile page for those of you that follow me over there, sharing some of my thoughts on the things that are happening in the world at the moment and how difficult those things are for people. And hey Jill, hey love. And I had quite a bit of backlash from it. And people reached out to me. Some of you reached out because you felt that backlash was wrong and not nice, and you wanted to say, I hope you're okay, and check in with me in case I was worrying a lot about what people were thinking of me. And that's so beautiful of you, and thank you. And some of you were reaching out to share the fact that you felt I was wrong, and wanting to share your judgment with me, and that's okay too. And some of you reached out saying, I've wanted to speak up and say what I feel about what's going on in the world, but I've been worried about doing that. Some of you reached out and said, I don't even feel like I can just share at the moment my business and make offers and be visible and talk about how I can help people, because it feels like I might be judged for being insensitive, because there's so much going on in the world that it feels almost impolite for me to be continuing my work. So much fear in the world at the moment. So so many amazing people holding back. And this isn't abnormal. You know, it's a fear of judgment or worrying about what people think of you that is everywhere all of the time, especially as a woman in business, especially as an entrepreneur, especially as someone that's probably broke the mold a little bit and decided to step up and do something probably a bit different to what anybody else has ever done in your family or friendship circle. Maybe step up and achieve things that nobody around you has ever achieved. All of those things can bring up so much fear and worry when it comes to judgment. And what I want to talk to you about tonight is that, and how you can release that, genuinely release that once and for all. Genuinely be in a space in your life where that's not important to you, because what's important to you is meaning, your life having meaning, your work having meaning, and you feeling so certain of who you are that it doesn't really matter who someone else believes you to be. That's what I want for you, because everybody I work with, every woman with no exception that I work with, is a cliche as it sounds and cheesy as it sounds, I don't care, they are change makers. They are visionaries. They are people that are here to do work in the world that matters. There's someone that said, I want to make a positive impact. I want to change, turn the things that have happened to me into a positive. I want to turn the things I know into a business idea that will help other people. They've all got a big mission. And releasing the fear of judgment or worrying about what people think of them can be the biggest thing that holds them back. And it's important for me to help you break that tonight. Now, I'm not going to give you a training where you go away and you do certain things like I normally would, especially when it comes to strategy, business strategy. I'm going to give you some thoughts tonight to sit with. I'm going to give you some ideas and some insights into my beliefs about this topic. And you can then choose what you do with it. Tonight's about the ego versus the soul. Because our attachment to our ego and our separation from our soul is the root of all fear, all anger, all outrage, all hurt, all of it. All of the worry about judgment. All of the fears of what people might be saying about us, or what they might say about us if we do something. If we say something, it's all a root cause of ego. Now, the word ego has a really bad rep because it's been used in the modern world as a way to describe a chip on your shoulder, you thinking you're better than somebody. That's not the ego that I'm describing here. I'm describing the human part of ourselves rather than the soul part of ourselves. I'm not saying that the ego is bad and that we should be ashamed of it. I'm not even going to help you try and eradicate it, because it's absolutely necessary to have it, to have a human experience. And we have to keep returning to ego to realise how good it feels to create from our soul instead. We need that contrast. You need contrast in everything, night and day, yin and yang. It's all important. It all serves a purpose. Even some of the things we see happening in the world right now, in some way, I'm sure, serve a greater purpose that we might not all be able to understand immediately when we look at it. So we need contrast. None of it's bad, none of it's good. The meaning we place on it is what tells us if something's bad or good. And I'm not here to make anything right or wrong tonight. I'm not here to make the way you feel right or wrong. I'm not here to make what you do right or wrong. I'm not here to make the people that judge you right or wrong. I'm just saying that if you're separated from your soul, it doesn't feel good. You experience less joy, less love, less abundance. And we know we're operating from our ego when we experience anxiety, fear, hurt, anger, when we feel the need to lash out, judge, or worry about being judged. We're coming from that space, the worry space. That doesn't exist when we're operating at soul level. So I'm saying it's not wrong to operate from ego, but if it's not giving you what you want in terms of how you feel or what you want to achieve or the way you want to feel when you're achieving it, then it might be time to address it and put some attention and focus on it. And I want to help you be able to do that tonight. What we're answering tonight is, how do I know when the ego stepped in? Because it's sneaky. It's so sneaky. At soul level, we are pure love, pure joy, pure abundance, infinite potential, infinite possibility. At soul level, we know that we are powerful creators of anything that we want. We feel empowered, we feel on purpose. But we're human, right? Having a human experience. So in an instant, something can trigger us and move us out of that and into ego, where everything's harder. And it can happen so quickly, but so subtle, that you might not even realise. And you're acting, reacting in ways, taking action in ways that don't make you feel good. Suddenly your thoughts and feelings don't make you feel good anymore. And that's what I want to help you with tonight. Because, you know, whether it's financial success that you plug into these lives to listen to more about, whether it's more business success, whether it's just to feel happier in the pursuit of that success, no matter what it is, this is going to play a huge part. This is going to play a huge part for you. So let's get stuck in to this a little bit. The key thing I want you to understand, first of all, is we can't create at soul level what we want or desire, or any of the good things that we want to appear in our life, with the opposite vibration. So you can't create love from hate. You can't create abundance and financial success from scarcity. You can't create certainty and clarity from anxiety and fear. So we need to come from a space where we can attract the things that we want to attract. We need to be at the same frequency. We need to be at soul level. We are 100%, and there's no question of a doubt in my mind, pure potential. We are made of the same stuff as the things we want to achieve. Fact. And this isn't all that woo-woo anymore, because science and scientific research is backing this up more and more and more and more and more. We're in this really exciting time and space where actually science and spirituality is coming onto the same page in many ways when it comes to this stuff and quantum physics. We know we're made of the same stuff as the soil, the earth, the universe, the stars, the moon, the energy, vibration. And for us to see in our reality the things that we want, we have to match our vibration with it. This isn't news. When we create from soul, we are better equipped to do that. When we react from ego, we move ourselves away from those things. The ego tells us a few things that prevent us from living our, cliche as it sounds, best life, from feeling all of the amazing feelings we want to feel. And here I'm saying feel a lot. I'm saying feel a lot because feeling is everything in creation. We don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. Period. You don't attract something because you think about it all the time. You attract it because you're a match for it. It becomes a way of being. You can't attract love if you are consumed by hate for yourself or for someone else, or can't attract financial success if we are consumed by scarcity and a feeling of there is not enough money for me. It doesn't matter how much you draw a mental image of $1 million check. You attract who you are, what you are, not what you want. Now, when the ego steps in and makes it difficult because it tells us 3 things. And these are the 3 things I want to share with you, because you can then spot these things for yourself and recognize when you're operating from ego, because that's the big challenge. You're probably all on the same page as me and know what it feels like to operate from soul and to experience ego intervention and how the two feel differently. You probably have all experienced that. In fact, let's have a show of hands. So who knows? Say in the chat box for me, let's start with operating from soul. Who feels like they know what that feels like when you're fully tapped in, connected to source? Everything feels easy and effortless and you experience total joy, total certainty of who you are and where you're going. Tell me in the chat box, I've experienced soul connection. If you have, just type those words so I can see. Tell me that in the chat box if you know what that feels like. But then equally, what it feels like to create from ego. Like swimming upstream, wading through treacle, worrying about what might go wrong, fearing that you may never get there, doing things because other people tell you you should, not doing things because you worry that other people might. Thank you for sharing. It's nice to know where you're at. And equally, have you experienced both of those things? Like, tell me what that feels like for you. Like, are you in and out of connection? Is it like 1 minute you're in and 1 minute you're out? Do you mostly recognize that you're operating from ego? Do you mostly recognize that you're operating from soul? Like, where are you? Do you struggle with the two? Share in the chat box. Let's share. And equally, if you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, like I don't get any of this stuff, that's all right as well. We are where we are. You will get it. You will get it at some point. It'd be a shame if we all had to wait to get it though, until, you know, when we became nothing but energy again, when we went home, or when we die, however you describe it. We will all get this at some point. We will get it with a triple smackdown. But it's so much easier if you get it when you're still having a human experience. Life is just easier. But it's okay if you're not there as well. And I'd love to know. I'd love to hear from you, because I want to know what part of my work resonates with you and what doesn't. Because it's really important for me to know that, so that I share appropriately. Seems like a lot of you really get this, which is exciting to me, because I want to be sharing a lot more of this with you. Before I go into the 3 things, get triggered by negative news. The news kicks the ego in. The news is one of the biggest ways. You almost feel it happening as you're watching it. One last thing I want to know from you before I jump into the 3 things that the ego tells you that I want you to be able to spot. I'd love to know, do you want to hear more of this stuff from me? Because I'm feeling I've been feeling for a while that you guys that work with me know that I talk about this stuff to my clients all the time, as well as the strategy. But I've been feeling a shift, like getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and more of a calling to share more of this stuff. Is that valuable? Do you want to see that? Tell me that, because it's important that I'm sharing what's relevant for you. You guys are more important than what I feel my messaging should be. And although I feel like I am connected with the part of me that knows, I like validation. I like to check. We all do. We're human. So tell me that. Okay, so the 3 things that the ego tells us when it steps in. Thank you guys for letting me know that. That's really helpful. The first thing it tells us is, I am what people tell me I am. It gets you concerned about other people's opinions. It gives you almost soul amnesia in terms of who you really are. Because who you really are is pure love, pure joy, pure abundance, infinite potential, capable of creating like that everything that you want, capable of all of that stuff. I love you too, Jess. But the ego starts telling you, you are what people tell you are what people think you are. It's about the attachment to that. You find yourself being concerned about it. Maybe I should change because of what they think. Maybe I should stop this because someone said that. Maybe I should start that because someone said that. But this means releasing the attachment to the good and the bad. Right? We can't be attached. We can't be detached from the bad things that people say, but still be attached to the good. This is about developing a dependence on these things. This is how you know the ego stepped in. If you need to be told that you're amazing, if you need to be receiving positive reviews constantly, if you need to be receiving a certain amount of likes, shares, or love to feel validated, that's the ego. If you need, on the flip side, to be totally free of criticism in order for you to feel confident to go in the direction that you're going in, and you begin to change who you are and what you want to do and how you want to do it because of it, then we know that we're operating from ego. Because when we're operating from soul level, we're just certain. Even if it feels scary, we know it's what we've got to do. Even if people don't agree, it doesn't matter. We put that before everything else because we know we have to be on the path that we're meant to be on. The other thing the ego tells us when it steps in is, I am what I have. I am the things I can buy. I am the amount of money that's in my accounts. I am my monthly income. I am the amount of clients I have. All of that stuff. And again, it's the attachment to it. This isn't about saying, release all plans and strategies to have more and be more, because it's wrong to want more. It's wrong to want more money in the bank. It's totally meant for you. You are meant to be abundant beyond your wildest imagination. That's your birthright. It's who you are at soul level. But if you need it to feel complete, then that's the ego. If you're reliant on these things to make you whole, to make you happy, to make you fulfilled, that's ego. And it brings a very different energy. Having things in your life because it's easy and it feels good and it serves you and it serves the people around you is not a bad thing. Having things in your life because you need them in order to feel validated in some way becomes a problem. It comes back to attachment. Because what happens when we operate in that way is no amount of money, no amount of things completes you. Because then you start worrying about it disappearing, because who am I without it? If it disappears, who am I? I'm so happy I've got $1 million in the account, and the ego goes, but what if this happens? What if that happens? And it disappears. It throws up fears. But if you're absolutely complete with or without it, and know that it's in infinite supply for you, then you come at things with a total different energy. There's nothing wrong with shopping in Gucci if you don't need to shop in Gucci to be complete. I remember buying Gucci trainers, right? Because it was a goal, and I went in and I don't regret this. I wanted them, and I have them, and I love them. I cherish them. I'm so grateful for them. But I had the same icky feeling when I bought my first flash car. It was like this unsettling feeling, and I'm alerted to that. I'm like, what is this? And the feeling was, I have to maintain this now because it's now who I am. I'm the person that drives this car and has those trainers and lives in that house. I have to maintain this now. That's ego. That's not soul creation. I was beginning to associate who I am with what I had. And that's a lie, and that's what the ego tells you. If we're too attached to those things, we know we're operating from ego. And that has now manifested into likes and shares. because that's another thing. I am what I have. I am how many followers I have. I am how many comments my video gets. The third thing that the ego tells us that's a lie is I am separate. I am separate from other people. I am separate from source. I am separate from the things that I want. It's just not true. The reality is we are all one. We aren't separate from other people. Our actions and how we treat someone has a direct relation to the way we experience life. If you treat that woman in that way, that affects your mother, because we're all ridiculously entangled on a collective conscious level. But the ego tells you you're disconnected from source. It tells you you're alone. It forces you to forget that you have this infinite supply of inspiration, motivation, wisdom at your fingertips. You will always know what to do if you go within. Always. You will always be led to the answer at the right time by the right person. The synchronicities will be insane if you look for that divine guidance, because we are connected to everything and everyone we need to live our best life. We are. We're not disconnected from the things that we want. When the ego steps in and it starts saying, oh, you're not going to hit that goal this month, it separates you from that goal and says that you are not it and it is not you, but you are. You are one. And the universe wants to guide you to have it. But the ego steps in and it sabotages that divine guidance, because it tells you, I am what people think I am, therefore I need to do something different because that made me receive negative criticism, or someone said I shouldn't, or I am what I have, therefore I need to keep striving to have more, or I need to fear losing what I have, or I am separate, therefore the things I want are far away. And all of those things are lies, and they're the best indicator that you're operating from ego. And I know this is deep or super woo-woo, Becky, as you just said. I just want you to sit with that. Watch it a few times if you need to. Never watch it again and bin it if you need to. That's okay too. But just remember that it's the attachment to ego that's the problem. Not the fact that it exists. Because we need it. We need that contrast. I'll be really honest and open with you now. I've got 1 minute because I've got a call to make. Last week, my ego stepped in strong and bold when I shared the live video I shared on my Facebook page. And I'm not here to talk about this today. I'm not. And I don't want to get into a dialogue here. So I'll ask you to respect my wishes and not do that. I shared from my soul how I felt about some of the things that are happening in the world. And it was divine led, divine led from the right place with the right intention. And the moment someone disagreed, my ego went, oh shit. It made me want to be right. It made me want to fight my corner. It made me want to defend myself. It made me want to, all sorts of things that are ego based. And I had to step back and go, recognize it, because I could hear its lies. And its lies were all the things I've said to you. I am what people say I am. Oh my God, people are saying all sorts. And I am separate. We're separate. Like, it separated us, it divided us. And I knew the ego had stepped in because of the way I felt. I felt hurt at points. I felt a bit angry. I felt misunderstood. I felt emotional. I felt vulnerable. I felt all the things that don't create all the things that we want to be creating on a daily basis. So I knew the ego had stepped in. So I stepped back from social media and I let it be. I went within. Now, if we did that, instead of going outside of ourselves for the answer or pointing the finger, if we all did that, we'd all live happier lives. And ultimately, that's what I want. For all of us, everyone listening, whether you agreed with what I had to say or you didn't, whether you picked a fight with me that day or not, I don't mind, I don't hold grudges, but that's just what I want for all of us. So I hope that's helped today. I hope it's a good job I finished my neighbour. He always does something when I'm live, but he did it at the end, so we'll forgive him. Lots of love, you guys. Speak soon. Oh, one last thing before you go. Nearly forgot. How can I forget? If you're somebody that is seesawing, ego, soul, and it's frustrating, and you're really ready to get some guidance, you're a woman in business, of course, and you're ready to get some guidance. And I say that because otherwise what I do and the way I did wouldn't be appropriate. You're a woman in business that wants to create from that space outrageous success, but that feels good, and you're struggling to do that right now. I'm going to be spending about an hour a day over the next week answering messages from you guys. So I need you to just inbox me and say, I saw your video on soul and ego. I really would like some help with this, and I'm going to spend that time with you answering messages backwards and forwards between meetings to help you along that path, so that you're more in soul and less in ego for most of the time, so that it feels good. So reach out and do it quickly, because I won't be able to get to everybody, and I'll do it in order of priority. Not in priority, in order that you come to me in, you know what I mean. Lots of love.